Tora looks out the window as he reminisces upon the story of Bardock Squad. From Vegeta to Namek and Earth, they have been through so much. His thoughts are interrupted by something, the noise of the communicator. Him, the squad, Boo and Piccolo have been traveling the galaxy helping people out. They have had run-ins with the Galactic Patrol being considered vigilantes. Either way, they weren't planning on returning to Earth anytime soon. That's why he was surprised to hear Bulma's voice come from the communicator. She asked for their help. Frieza had returned. Tora and everyone else's eyes widened. Frieza? Could that be true? He was for sure defeated long ago, and even if he was back, Goku and the others should be strong enough. The Bardock Squad gathered around to discuss the situation. While Fasha thinks it's nothing, Shugesh thinks it's urgent. The two argue, but Piccolo comes in between them. Without opening his eyes, he explains that they are telling the truth. He can tell by Bulma's voice. Whatever is going on, they really need their help. As soon as Piccolo explains this, the rest of the squad agrees, inputting the coordinates towards Earth and rushing back home. It took some time for them to return to Earth, and in that time, not only had Frieza and his army arrived, but they began their attack on Earth. As Shizame battled Gohan, a loud sound rang off behind them. The two stopped their battle, with Frieza cocking an eyebrow. The wind blows off as the ship lands. Outstepping Tora, Shugesh, Fasha, Borgos, Boo, and Piccolo. Frieza then frowned when he saw the giant pink blob stumbling out of the spacecraft holding several chocolate bars. Wasn't that Majin Buu? Frieza laughs. Weren't they the guys he killed a long time ago? Piccolo nodded at Gohan, who was excited to see Mr. Piccolo and the rest. The squad didn't waste time as they rushed to the rest of the army. They asked what the hell was going on, with Tora approaching Gohan to help him against Shizame. He explains that there was a lot that happened since the last time they saw each other, including Beerus, the god of destruction, appearing, and the birth of the Super Saiyan God. Tora smirked, saying that he knew that if anyone was going to birth the Super Saiyan God, then it would be Goku, of course. Gohan said that now that they were all together, they could use that sort of power. Shizame tried to interrupt the conversation with a blast, but Tora appeared behind him with the instant transmission, blasting him into Gohan, who hammer-fisted him back down to Earth. Gohan explains that his father and Vegeta are still out of the picture, but that he has a plan. At first, he thought that he would have to power up to the max to get Goku here, but if he felt the power of a new Super Saiyan God, the key that only him and Vegeta could really feel, then perhaps they would not only have a better chance of getting their attention, but also have a new powerful ally to defend them. As the other Saiyans finish off their battles, they gathered around in front of Frieza, who asked where Goku was. Tora questioned who the new Super Saiyan God should be, but they all looked at him, even Gohan. He gulped. He wasn't sure he was ready for that responsibility, but Goten stood by him, holding his hand. Trunks cheered him on from the sidelines. Thus, Tora, Gohan, Shugesh, Borgos, Fasha, and Goten held hands, all of their power going directly into Tora. But Frieza wasn't easily fooled. He wasn't going to allow this Super Saiyan to transform right in front of him. He fired death beams at each one of the Saiyans, piercing them. Piccolo winced, reminding him of Frieza's third form. He was torturing them. He wasn't trying to kill them. Even so, they held on to their friend for dear life. No matter how painful, all of their power was pumped into Tora as the aura exploded into a fiery light. He was now a Super Saiyan God. All of his friends laid on the ground, hurt from the piercing death beams. He promised himself that he would protect his friends, and that Frieza would never hurt them again. Frieza smirked, realizing that this Super Saiyan God was the power he feared long ago. Fine, it was time to bring out the big guns. After transforming into his final form, Frieza and Tora began their battle, with Frieza quickly realizing that Tora was a lot more powerful than he thought. Not only because of the Super Saiyan God, but also because of the years of training with the Bardock Squad and their outer space adventures. Jacko commented on the fact that they were all vigilantes, and that he'd had to apprehend them after the battle. But seeing Tora's power, he backed off. Tora did his best against Frieza, powering up higher and higher until Whis was able to read his God Key. It wasn't long before Goku and Vegeta teleported to Earth with their brand new Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. The battle went on as normal. They told Tora to stand down, that it was time for them to battle. Tora insisted that he'd be the one to defeat Frieza, but once he transformed into his golden state, he knew he didn't have a chance. With the two gods battling Frieza, Tora admitted that this power was incredible while watching Goku and Vegeta fight. Fasha explained that she was jealous, and that she wanted that power. Tora looked upon Goku proudly, and then Vegeta, who seemed to be winning, but to everyone's surprise, Goku interrupted the battle. He pushed Vegeta aside and talked to him in private. Frieza was extremely confused and yelled at them, but Goku apologized, with Vegeta looking very upset. Goku then turned to Tora, Fasha, Borgos, and Shugesh, calling them over. The team approached slowly. Goku put his hand on Fasha's shoulder, saying that this was their battle. It was about time the old generation of Saiyans settled their own score. After all, he had already saved them once before. Tora wasn't sure, and Frieza felt insulted, but Fasha was excited. She had been waiting for this moment her entire life. She may not have Super Saiyan God, but she would support Tora any way she could. With the whole team behind him, he knew he was ready. Shugesh burst his aura, his full power in effect. Borgos turned into a Super Saiyan 2, Fasha into her brand new Super Saiyan 3, and Tora into Super Saiyan God. Frieza laughed. Even after the arduous battle against Vegeta, he was still strong enough, but Tora declared that even if he had more power, Frieza didn't have the spirit, the pride of the Saiyan race, and above all, he didn't have the squad. The whole squadron rushed in, with Frieza blocking the attack. Tora alone was enough to push down Frieza at least a little bit, who was severely hurt by Vegeta and Goku. It came to the point where Tora stood over Frieza, who was about to destroy Earth. Tora was none the wiser, but the gentle, silent giant, Borgos, noticed something. His eyes widened. In an instant, the Saiyan appeared behind Frieza and held his arms back, yelling, "Do it!" to Tora. Tora nodded, saying, "For Bardock." He did not hesitate, placing his hand on Frieza's chest and firing the blast, creating a great explosion. Both Tora and Borgos were sent flying into opposite directions, while Frieza was nowhere to be found. He was defeated, and the older Saiyans had finally avenged their friends. The team celebrated, after making sure that Borgos was okay. Whis and Beerus took notice of the prowess of the older Saiyans, noting that they may be good candidates for the training alongside Goku and Vegeta. They extended this offer to them, which they initially refused. They wanted to travel the galaxy still. Though Whis was surprised, Beerus actually thought that this was very noble. He told them that the offer was there anytime they wanted it, and thus the day was saved once again. But the Z fighters wouldn't see the last of the older Saiyans. They said goodbye, with the spaceship blasting off once more into space. But Beerus' offer remained on their minds, so much so that not long after, Fasha, Tora, Shugesh, Piccolo, and Borgos took them up on the offer and began their arduous training. Borgos wasn't too interested in training and would rather spend time exploring the planet or taking care of the Oracle Fish. Shugesh continued to train in his more spiritual manner, something that interested Whis. He felt as if he would be the one to near the Ultra Instinct state, while Beerus thought that Fasha could reach Ultra Ego because of how aggressive she was. They weren't nearly as far along as Goku and Vegeta, but were still extremely impressive. And of course, they trained Piccolo as well. And once Champa challenged Beerus to the tournament for the Super Dragon Balls, it was Fasha who agreed to join in the tournament. The other Saiyans were generally not interested in that sort of thing. Thus, the team was composed of Goku, Vegeta, Monica, Fasha, and Piccolo. Only after they realized that Boo would not pass the test. It was a total surprise for the squad to meet another Saiyan in the form of Cabba and learn about the history of their universe. So that's what they could have become. They would have lost their tails, become more peaceful? They thought it was crazy, but then looked at Goten and Trunks. Those kids were the future of the Saiyan race in Universe 7, and they had those features. It once again reminded them how much things had changed and what they fought for. As in the original, Goku defeats Botamo, but loses against Frost. Piccolo also loses against Frost, where Jacko realizes that he is cheating. This infuriates Fasha, who challenges Frost in Piccolo's stead, wanting to prove that no one will dishonor Neo, her old master. Piccolo smiled proudly as she showed off her new form, Super Saiyan God. Fasha cracked her knuckles, explaining that she may not have been able to defeat Frieza by herself, so this would have to do. She proved herself by weaving around Frost, actually paying homage to Piccolo by using the multiform technique and ultimately defeating him with a fiery fist. She then had to battle Magetta, since she cursed like a sailor all the time. She accidentally figured out Magetta's weakness and won. Her next battle was to be against Cabba, but Vegeta asked her to give him a shot. He wanted to see what this Saiyan was made of. Fasha rolled her eyes and stepped out of the arena. These Saiyan guys. And thus, the tournament went on as normal, and ultimately ended with Hit giving up against Monica, and him becoming the champion, with Goku and Hit promising to battle each other once more. Everyone awaits for the arrival of the Tournament of Power after Goku asks Zeno for one. And while Goku and Vegeta take off to save the universe with Trunks, Piccolo continues to train at Beerus's. However, the squad takes another route. They ask Cabba for a tour of planet Sadala, and end up spending a long time there. They learn what their civilization could have been in a bittersweet trip. Tora packs a lot of things for their trip, while the others pack very light. This proves to be a mistake, as a hooded girl steals his bags. Cabba is surprised and yells at the criminal, but she is gone before he says anything. While the squad tells Tora that he should have packed light, Tora pleads with Cabba to help him get everything back. Cabba knows exactly where to find the girl, leading them into a base, where a different girl sits above a number of gangsters. Cabba is clearly a little scared to be there, as several several large Saiyans step in the way. Tora is confused, but the girl speaks, telling him that he should not be there and to take those tailed freaks somewhere else. Fasha is about to protest, but Cabba pleads with the girl to just return what his guests had. She finally stands up, turning to a smaller girl and asking her if she took stuff from the visitors. She nods, pointing towards Tora's stuff in the corner. The leader laughs, high-fiving the girl. Cabba isn't sure what to do, but Tora is perplexed, grabbing onto him and asking him what he's doing. He's a Super Saiyan. He saw it with his own eyes during the Universe 6 tournament. Though nervous still, Cabba knew that Tora was right, showing off his transformation and blowing the huge Saiyans away. This finally piques the interest of the leader. Smirking, she didn't know that Cabba had gotten so powerful, cocking an eyebrow to ask if Tora and the others could do that too. Cabba answers that, yeah, and much more. The girl laughs, calling on to Kale to throw stuff back at them. She tells them that they get it back only because she knows they will train her and Kale. Shugesh and Tora try to argue, but Fasha smirks. She was a lot like that girl when she was younger. Screw it, a little sparring wouldn't hurt. The girl introduced herself as Caulifla, and for the next few months, her, Kale and Cabba would become disciples of the Bardock Squad. They were surprised to see just how fast Universe 6 Saiyans were able to pick up on training. Super Saiyan 1, 2, and even 3. They were extremely powerful. They were much more evolved than them, so maybe that's why they grew so quickly. The months of training also served to power up the squad, with Fasha and Tora both achieving Super Saiyan Blue. However, their transformation was much more unstable than that of Goku and Vegeta, and couldn't maintain it for long. Fasha was always annoyed at Caulifla. She had been right. That girl was just like her, and she hated it. Cabba was always curious about Vegeta, and the team promised him to take him back to Earth sometime, as a thank you. They were all surprised to see Kale's power, a strange transformation unlike anything they had ever seen before. It was triggered by Fasha and Caulifla spending so much time training together, and it happened a couple of times. They knew they had to help her control it, and though it took a lot, she managed to do it. Tora did mention something to Fasha, that this girl reminded him of Paragus' kid, the one that had scared off King Vegeta. Fasha realized that too. One fateful day came with Cabba came running towards Caulifla and Kale. He had been informed of the Tournament of Power, and it was going to be a matter of life and death. Everyone went pale when they heard this, the Bardock Squad realizing that they had been training what may be their ultimate enemy. If they lose against Universe 6, then they really were doomed. Caulifla refused to join, and Kale apologized to the Bardock Squad. They all remained quiet, but Shugesh spoke up, saying, "No. You two have to participate. If you beat us then, it means you really have surpassed us as students, and we will be proud. This is your final test. But just know, our universe has guys stronger than anything you can imagine. We won't go easy on you." Caulifla's blood was pumping. She was going to beat them, and under her breath promised that she will bring all of them back with a wish if they win. The team separated into their own universe, ready to embark on this new challenge. They approached Goku, who was looking for teammates. The team was formed as Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, Tora, Fasha, Shugesh, Borgos, 17, and 18. Borgos really liked 17, as they were both nature lovers, and Borgos reminded 17 of Android 16. With the team set, the tournament began. Tora and the others were excited to show everyone just how much they had grown. In the start of the tournament, Fasha made sure to look for Frost. She really wanted to kick his ass again, and he was eager for a rematch. He had gotten stronger, but not nearly as much as Fasha, who, with a quick burst of Super Saiyan Blue, defeated the alien. Shugesh used his various Yardrat techniques to take out the Yardrat fighter, while Borgos accompanied 17 and 18 through the battles. Tora helped Gohan, impressing everyone with a new transformation as well. Borgos was the first one to be taken out from Universe 7, as he actually caught Kale and saved her from being pushed out of the ring during the battle between Jiren and Goku. Though Caulifla did get some training with Goku in as well, her and Kale already had all the tools necessary to battle him. This was a more serious match than the one in the original anime, with Goku complementing Tora and the others' teachings. But Goku's mastered Super Saiyan Blue proved to be too much for the girls, even with their Super Saiyan 3. Either way, this was Tora's fight, not his. Goku left satisfied with the match, and Caulifla, Kale, and Cabba all stood side by side, staring down at Shugesh, Tora, Vegeta, and Fasha. It was time to show what all that training had been for. Though Kale and Caulifla were offered the Potara earrings by their Kaishin, the two Saiyans refused because they had promised themselves that they would prove just how far the training with Bardock Squad had taken them. Now it was time to prove just that. Caulifla thinks back to how she crushed the Potara, looking at her fist and then smirking. Both teams powered up to the max, ready for battle. Kale and Shugesh smirked at each other, the master versus the student. This was time for her to prove that she could truly control her power. Shugesh tried everything under the sun, his cloning, lightning, giant form, even spirit fission, but Kale knew her master's moves too well. And even if force spirit fission was hard for her to avoid, her strength and plentiful ki source more than made up for it. In the end, the giant Shugesh was grabbed by the finger by Kale, who ran up his body only to slam him back down and out of the arena. Shugesh smiled proudly, saying, "Not bad, kid," as he disappeared. But Kale wasn't out of the woods just yet, as Tora punched the sky ready for their battle. Kale is the strongest of Universe 6 Saiyans, giving Tora an incredibly hard time. Cabba continued to learn as he tussled with Vegeta. He knew he wasn't a match for Super Saiyan Blue, but he was at least much stronger than in the original story. He was proud of his Super Saiyan 3, even if Vegeta made fun of it as that transformation that Kakarot liked to show off as his own. Fasha and Caulifla's fight is intense, but it is interrupted by the incredible match between Kale and Tora. Tora couldn't help but admit that he was very proud, but it was time to stop playing around. Tora threw his weighted cloak off of his back, his muscles bulging as his aura erupted into a bright blue flame. He took a deep breath, extended his palm out, and taunted the girl into attack. This was Tora's final challenge. It was the moment he had been waiting for. He had accomplished everything he ever wanted, even going as far as defeating Frieza. Now, his job was to leave a lasting legacy, and these two girls would be it. He passed on what he learned. All he had left to do now was show them all he knew. Tora flashed forward, dragging a huge woof of air along with him that dragged a bunch of tournament contestants along with him, even disqualifying 3 of them. Kale managed to stay on her feet, but it forced him on the defensive. Next thing she knew, she was surrounded by multiple Tora clones. She was actually struggling to defend herself and being forced to grab one of the Toras by the face and using him to attack the other ones. But this was merely a distraction, as Tora appeared above Kale with a fist full of bright blue ki. His eyes reflected the faces of his old masters, Whis, Goku, Nail, the Grand Elder, and finally Bardock. Tora pushed his blast forward, utilizing his fallen best friend's technique, the Spirit Cannon. There was a huge explosion that made everyone look back, even Cabba and Vegeta in the middle of their fight. The ground below them cracked, and finally Tora and Kale fell off the edge together. He was very proud of her. With that incredible match, the tournament continued as matchups changed. Caulifla and Fasha wouldn't battle each other until later on. Time passed, with Super Saiyan Blue Fasha helping Gohan defeat Dispo. Sadly, this resulted in Gohan himself being disqualified. Fasha and Piccolo had a great match against Toppo. They knew each other's moves perfectly and were completely in sync. Piccolo was actually one of the most powerful members of Universe 7, thanks to the training he underwent with Beerus. He is comparable to Golden Frieza. To put it into perspective, Vegeta once again sacrifices himself to help Goku battle Jiren, with the last few contestants up being Caulifla, Fasha, Piccolo, 17, Goku, and Jiren. They all did their best to battle against the Mad Titan. Even Caulifla did as much as she could with her Super Saiyan 3. In the end, Piccolo and Goku rushed at Jiren in unison. Piccolo used his stretchable limbs to grab onto Jiren and slam him down into the abyss. To make sure that he goes down, Goku rushed after him with a Kamehameha, but Jiren wasn't about to give up so easily, pushing himself off of the side of the rubble and back onto the stage, where he stopped the Kamehameha by grabbing Goku and Piccolo's faces as he landed. Caulifla and Fasha flew in with a double kick against Jiren's back, crushing the ground beneath them and forcing him to let go of Goku and Piccolo. The three fell into the abyss once more, this time Goku and Piccolo holding onto Jiren with everything they had, dragging him across the tournament rubble. 17 realizes that Jiren is about to set himself free. Thankfully, Fasha was still around. He could be used to win. 17 jumped off the stage at just the right moment to dive headfirst onto Jiren with a palm full of ki. This created a great explosion that sent all 4 fighters flying off into different directions. It was over. Fasha fell over on her back, tired, happy that the battle was over. But she heard someone clear her throat. She sat up and saw that beyond the smoke stood one more person, Caulifla. She was still around. Universe 6 cheered loudly. Fasha cracked her knuckles. It was fitting that the last battle of the tournament would be between 2 Saiyans, a master and an apprentice. Fasha and Caulifla seemed equally matched. Their moves were near mirrors. But Fasha had one thing that Caulifla was missing: experience. She used everything she learned in her years as a Saiyan soldier to predict her moves. It worked at first, but Caulifla was faster and even more clever. She watched Fasha rush her way with her fist pulled back. Caulifla crossed her arms to block block the attack up until Fasha was mere centimeters from reaching her. Caulifla smirked, took a step to the side, and stuck her foot out. Fasha tripped over Caulifla's foot and was sent flying directly off of the tournament stage. Everyone gasped, but as Fasha opened her eyes, she realized that Caulifla was holding her hand, saving her from falling. Fasha smiled at Caulifla. She had truly grown into her own since the first time they met, and it had only been a few months. She was nowhere near as powerful as Goku nor Vegeta, but she had grown into a powerful fighter in her own right. Fasha asked Caulifla to keep her promise, and she slapped Caulifla's arm off, falling down. Caulifla was the final person in the tournament arena. Universe 6 had won. As Beerus yelled at Fasha, Tora and the rest of Bardock Squad smiled at Caulifla. Super Shenron was summoned, and Champa tried to yell at Caulifla what the wish should be. It was something dumb, like food, but Caulifla looked at Cabba and Kale with a large smile, telling them that their training was not over. She wished for every universe to be returned, explaining that she didn't do it for them. She just did it because she wanted to continue to get tougher. As all the various universes were brought back, Jiren and Goku promised to battle again. Things were returning to normal, but the Bardock Squad had a decision to make. While at Bulma's welcome back party, they gathered around. Tora stood in front of Goku and the rest, explaining to them that they had made a decision. It had been so many years since their planet was destroyed, and now they had found a whole new planet of Saiyans, full of a new generation that they could teach and help create a path for. Long ago, Tora promised himself and Bardock that he would protect his family. But Goku and the others are so much more powerful since then that they haven't been needed in a long time. Thus, the Bardock Squad has decided to move to planet Sadala, sure that they would meet again soon. It was bittersweet, but the Z Fighters understood. The celebrations went on for a whole day until Whis was ready to take Tora, Shugesh, Fasha, and Borgos to Universe 6. Whis arrived with Vados and Caulifla. Shugesh thanked everyone for making him feel welcomed through these difficult times, giving a big hug to Goku and his family. Borgos made 17 promise him that he would take care of the planet. Fasha approached Piccolo nervously, which surprised the other squad members. They'd never seen her like this before. She tells Piccolo that he doesn't have to come if he doesn't want to. After all, his home is on Earth, and it always has been. That's why she'd understand if he didn't want to leave. But maybe, if he was able to put up with her for all these years, maybe he'd like to join them again. Everyone is quiet for what seems like an eternity, but the silence is then cut by Piccolo chuckling. Piccolo puts his fist up to Fasha's chest, smiling, saying that they still have some training to do together, and that whatever place she's at, he'll feel at home. Everyone starts to clap, with Shugesh whistling. Fasha turns her head to avoid people seeing that she's blushing. Gohan and Videl walk up to Piccolo, giving their farewells and wishing him the best of luck in his new journey. Piccolo bends down to see the little Pan in Videl's arms, and he tells them that he'll come back. He's excited to see just how much the little one has grown. The squad asks Boo if he'd like to come along too, but to their surprise, he says no. He still wants to go explore more of the universe and eat even more tasty food. They all laugh as the Saiyans and Piccolo give him one large group hug, telling him to always be on his best behavior and help everyone in need. They also remind him not to eat too much, which makes Boo laugh. In fact, Beerus tells him that perhaps Boo and him can hang out sometime, discuss which food they like the best. Finally, Tora promises he'd visit, and that they can always count on them to help. He brought Goku and Vegeta in for a hug, whispering to them to be careful. If there are any more Saiyans in the other universes, then there may be more in Universe 7 too. Goku shot them all a thumbs up, and the Z Fighters waved them off. Bardock Squad was ready to begin a brand new adventure, and this time they had new allies to train and get stronger with. They knew they didn't have too much longer left, so their quest was simple: leave a lasting legacy and lead this new set of Saiyans with the training, knowledge, and experience to avoid the mistakes of the past. Tora, Shugesh, Borgos, Fasha, and Bardock would go down in history as the legendary Saiyan squad that led the way for the next generation of warriors. The cosmic cube disappeared as Tora felt a hand on his shoulder. He didn't turn around, but he knew Bardock would always be with them. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. That was the final part of What If the Bardock Squad Survived. I know there's still some room for something to happen around there somewhere, so perhaps Maybe when the full story version comes out, I'll add a little more. But I do think this is where the natural end of the story is, with the Saiyan squad leading their way to train the Universe 6 Saiyans. I gotta give a huge thank you to Professor Chimp for co-writing this story with me. The whole story really has been the brainchild of both of us, and it's one of my favorite of all time. I gotta give a huge shout out to the Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Legend, and Ultra Instinct members of the channel, particularly the Ultra Instinct members Super Kami Mewtwo and Neo Woodcomb. Anyways, shout out to Eric Dragon, Super Kami Mewtwo, Neo Woodcomb, Dustin Nelson, Secret Saiyan, Phil J. Akir, Pizza Hut Kitman, Orlando Castellano, Hannah Rowan, Sir Justice, Midnight Combatant, The Real Samuel Randall, and Zachary Croy. It's so cool to see so many of you guys with the Super Saiyan 3 badge that you get for being a member for a set amount of time. Some of you guys even have the Super Saiyan God one. So, I can't thank you guys enough. If you like this sort of content, then be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss the next video, which will be on Saturday. And it is the next part of What If Bardock came to Earth with Goku, and I know you guys love that series. I also have a special announcement. I know you guys have been waiting a long time for me to continue What If Goku landed in the Kaioshin realm, and I will be continuing just that. I'm really excited for it. It's a really cool ending that I have planned out, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. I'm currently editing the video, and you guys can expect it towards the beginning of February. And I'm sorry it's been such a long wait. By the way, we have a shop now. For now, we only have stickers, but I will be putting out some more merch in the future, such as t-shirts and the like. I'm sure you guys will enjoy it. Anyways, until we meet again, guys. See ya!
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to SmugStick, unless you want to be destroyed.
Lord Beerus, that's hardly fair. But also, don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified when he uploads new videos.